Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first segment of Ask Joshna. This is a fun weekly segment on the Communal Lunch Project website, and my job here is to help you have more fun in your kitchen. So I brought you here into my kitchen, and I have some questions from you, very high tech, on a piece of paper, and we're going to answer them and see if we can help you do more exciting things while you're in the kitchen. So thanks to the folks who submitted some questions. Let's get to it. First question is from Lauren. Lauren asks, what are some ways to make dark leafy vegetables actually taste good? So Lauren, great question. I think what you're referring to is the bitterness, right, of dark leafy vegetables. It's intense. It really hits the mouth in a major way. So my first answer is citrus and something acidic. A squeeze of lemon always happens on my greens, right? Whatever I'm sauteing, that bitterness needs to be tempered with some sourness, and that works really well. So, and remember to do it at the end, right? Because if you do it at the beginning, it'll kind of cook its way out, and the brightness of the acid will dissolve sort of in the food. So garnish off the heat with lots of bright citrus. Lemon or lime works really well. In a pinch, a little splash of a light vinegar, right? Something like rice vinegar or cider vinegar or something bright like that. Other things that you can do to actually improve or develop the flavor is to do a little saute of onions and garlic first. Put that down and then saute your greens in there first. That'll help to add a bit more flavor. Chili also does a beautiful job. To be honest with you, I actually use all of those things. Onions and garlic down first. I saute the greens. Then I add a little bit of dried chilies and a squeeze of citrus. So try those things, and hopefully one of those will work for you, because leafy greens are actually really delicious, and as you know, they're terribly good for you. So good luck, and let us know how it goes. Okay, next up is a question from Earth to Tino. You've asked a bunch of questions here. Thank you for that enthusiasm. First question is, do you always use a recipe to make food? The answer is no. I often use recipes, but I also just really like to get excited about ingredients, right? And I'm a big farmer's market shopper, and I like to go to the market and look and see what's fresh, what's interesting, and I take the inspiration from the ingredient itself, right? And I really like to encourage people to consider the idea of cooking from ingredients up as opposed to a recipe down, because we want to really focus on the food and do the best thing with what we've got, as opposed to having a really sort of rigid list of things that you're trying to find ingredients for. Now, this really is about developing your intuition as a cook. It's something I really encourage you all to do. Play around, try things out. How does it roast? How does it slice? How does it mash? The only reason I know this is because I've clocked the hours in the kitchen, and I know what's going to happen. So no, I often let myself get lost in the kitchen and just play around and see what happens. Next question is also from Earth to Tino. What are some easy herbs to grow at home? So here I'm in Toronto, and we are now sort of in fall. Cold days are with us, so a lot of plants are obviously being brought inside for the winter. But on a windowsill, in the winter, with some good sun, you can easily grow a pot of mint, a pot of parsley. If you have an indoor little hydroponic light set up, some basil, thyme, a whole beautiful array of herbs will do quite well. So just make sure you have some good sunlight, and because that is really the piece that they're going to need to keep moving, to keep that chlorophyll alive in those herbs. I actually love the idea of pots of herbs, and you can just snip what you need. You don't need to buy a whole bunch that ends up invariably getting slimy in the bottom of your fridge. So yes to homegrown herbs. And the final question from Earth to Tino is, what is your most used kitchen utensil? This is a tricky one. I had to really think about this. And if pressed, I would have to say that my most used is this beauty. This is a chef's knife. There's hardly anything that I do in the kitchen that doesn't involve a chef's knife. This one is a Mac knife. It's a Japanese style knife. It's tough. It can take a beating. It holds its edge really well, and it is my easy go-to from my little magnet of knives behind my sink. Other honorable mentions need to go to the small offset spatula. I feel like I love this thing. I love this thing so much. I use it all the time. It is always in my kit bag for spreading and lifting and doing sort of small, sometimes delicate work. This guy is a beauty. If you're icing a cake, you can't do without this guy. I love him. I love it. And finally, I pulled this out because this is easily my most used, my most used tool for stirring. You'll see it's got this little edge on the top, and I like that because it lets me really get into the corners and the side of the pots and pans when I'm stirring, so everything gets incorporated in. You can see that this poor thing has seen some action. And I use it a lot. And there's even a little worn out part on the side here from where it gets banged against the side of the pot, which is cute. And this is probably the most inexpensive thing in this kitchen too, right? I'm sure it's some sort of easy dollar store find, but it serves me really, really beautifully. So those are my 3 favorites in the kitchen. What is next? Kojima McMaple, great name, Kojima McMaple, asks, why do sweet potatoes perish way faster than normal potatoes? So normal potatoes, I'm guessing you mean white or yellow potatoes. So one of the big difference there is that the storage. I'm not sure how you're storing your sweet potatoes. If you're doing it in the fridge, that might be the first problem. Sweet potatoes in the cold of the fridge, they don't do so well, right? And they can kind of firm up in a way that they don't release. It's a little too cold for that sweet potato. I like a root cellar, right, is really the best. It's cool, it's dark, and those are the best circumstances for a sweet potato to thrive. So if you have a cool, dark place, maybe it's like a bin under the counter, resist the fridge and go to that other sort of just lower than room temperature kind of vibe. That might be the thing that you're seeing is happening. The sugars really change the game with the sweet potato. There's not nearly as much sweetness in a white potato or a Yukon, a yellow potato. And so that is why there's a little bit more fragility. You have to be a bit more precious and careful with your dear sweet potatoes. But if you do, they will serve you really well with incredibly good flavor throughout the season. And finally, final question is from Sanjana. Thank you, Sanjana. And the question is, how can students prepare and eat fresh food when they don't have enough time on hand? This is a great question, and it's, I'm sure, something that all of you are dealing with. So here's the answer. There's no question that the best way to deal with this is planning, right? This is something that I really, really encourage, because once the week starts and you're in class and you're working and you're dealing with it all, you don't want to have to do too much work, but you also really want something good to eat. So give yourself the benefit of an afternoon on a weekend where you get into the kitchen and do some prep. And these are things like, make yourself some marinades that can also be vinaigrettes, like even just a simple balsamic olive oil, garlic, salt, and pepper situation. Make one of those, have it in the fridge. You can pour it over some chicken breasts to marinate. It can go easily over a salad. Make like a half a liter of the thing. And then you'll sort of always have it around, either to marinate things, to dress things up, and you'll be really, really happy with yourself. Other important things to do are cook rice, right? It's really important. Cooking rice to eat, obviously to eat with a meal that you're making, but then to have some leftovers, because great fried rice, which is like the best clean out the fridge, put everything you've got into it kind of meal, is made with leftover rice. Right, the key piece is that it's rice that has been in the fridge, that's a bit cold and dry, because that's how it drinks up all the beautiful flavors that you throw in when you make fried rice. So if you know you're going to need it a couple of days from now, make a big batch now so the rice is there, right? And other things that I think are really important is to do some meal planning, some sense of, when you go grocery shopping, see what's on the counter, and then start allotting things to different meals. If you know that cauliflower is going to be soup one day and then roasted for a warm salad or a rice bowl or something the day after, chop those beauties up, chop the florets up, put them back in grocery bags or containers or whatever it is, but do all of that work so that on Tuesday afternoon, when you're racing back from a meeting or finally standing up from 1,000 hours in front of the computer, you don't have to start, breaking vegetables down and doing all of that work. Do that ahead of time so that you can literally just assemble things, right? I really think that the great success that you're going to have with your meals during the week is doing this on the weekend, and really, this is about a gift, from your present self to your future self. Think about that version of you that will really be so grateful that the version of you right now took the time to do the chopping and the shopping and the thinking so that these things are ready to go and you can still have beautiful, delicious food. Okay, we did it. Episode 1 of Ask Joshna in the can. Thank you so much. Keep the questions coming. Every Thursday, questions are going to go out. Every Wednesday, we will post this video on the Communal Lunch Project website. Please ask questions, tag us at Communal Lunch, and take a look at communallunch.ca for the weekly videos. Everybody, see you next week. I am Chef Joshna here to help you have more fun in the kitchen. Thanks, everyone.